Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sasi Prasad. I'm a technical architect and I'm helping people to learn SSS. Okay, we are currently doing WS Proxy. We'll continue with that WS Proxy program. But today, I want to show you how you can create custom endpoint in Marketing Cloud, okay, through code resource. I have built more than 3 blocks till now because I'm taking a very small step to explain every technical nitty-gritty here because it requires proper technical knowledge when you're dealing with endpoints, REST API, okay? And you also understand the security involved when you're basically sharing data from one server to another or one platform to another platform. So you have to be very serious about your security. Okay, you need to understand how different layers in the data flow works. Okay, you need to understand how HTTP protocols are maintained. You need to know what is TCP/IP protocol, what is transactional protocols. Okay, there are a lot of things, and also there will be a high cost maintenance with your endpoints. Okay, I can give you one example today. So for example, if you look for the transactional layer security, okay, here it says Salesforce no longer supports TSS version 1.1 or 1.0. So anytime you can, whenever they upgrade, the older version might not be supported. Okay, so currently Marketing Cloud and the Salesforce services, okay, it supports TSL 1.2. Fine. So there are a lot of cryptography and other things that happens, and a lot of different flows happens in the background. So you have to be aware of what's happening. Okay. So it doesn't mean that you're building something and it is going to work forever. And obviously, because this is related to security, so you have to be very careful and you have to always discuss with your data architects, okay, network security architects and others, if you have any, right? So let's directly today jump to creating a custom app, okay, and that custom app would simply send access token, okay, authorization token to the third party to perform certain activity. But the middleman would always be a code resource. They directly can't leverage the Marketing Cloud API, okay, hitting the API server directly from the third party. Okay, so keeping that in mind, we'll design SSS code resource, okay, and we'll show how we basically retrieve the access token. And if you understand that, you can go through my different blocks, like how you can basically create the authentication. Okay, if you have to have a proper understanding of what is authorization, what is authentication, okay, what is OAuth, what is OAuth 2.0, and what is Connect ID, SAML2, not required. Even of theoretical knowledge might help you building this application, right? And I have a very big interest on JSON Web Tokens. I've been working on this, showcasing what can be done. Okay, in some other videos, I'll go through the JSON Web Tokens also. Okay, so let's directly today jump into our code, and we'll only focus on basically giving a authorization to a third party to perform certain operations in Marketing Cloud, but via code resource. Okay, again I'm repeating, they would not be able to directly invoke Marketing Cloud REST API servers. Okay, so please bear this in mind. Okay, so what we are doing is we are building a custom endpoint, right? So we will be leveraging the Marketing Cloud API servers. Okay, and we'll show you how scopes plays into this. Okay, and how you can build all these things. Also, another point is like when you do V2 token, that is the access token. Okay, you basically you're hitting the authentication endpoint, not the REST endpoint, right? So for the authentication endpoint, you don't require any scope to be mentioned whenever you're creating an install package. Okay, so you can create a install package, and then you can give the integration type as server to server, but you can simply do not define any scope. So keep an offline scope and generate the client ID secrets, right? And using the client ID secret, you can basically perform this activity giving the access token. And another thing you need to keep in mind is for the access token, whenever you request for an access token, because this is a stateless and the RESTful service, okay, it will not look for the previous access token. It will always generate a new access token with a new expiry time. Okay, keeping that, you have to keep that in mind. JWT, it does not basically look into the expiry. You can mention those expiry in your claims using some additional feature with date and all. Okay, but JWT works in a different process, and access token works in a different process. Fine. So in this code, what we are going to do is here, okay, we assume that the third party is basically making a post request, okay, and providing a payload to the post request. You can validate whether there is a post or get in the SSS. Okay, I'm not going into it. We'll go in some other day. Here, I'm assuming that we are making a post request, and we're going to parse that post request. See in the line number 13, we're doing a parse the JSON, right? Parse JSON to the post request, and then getting the JSON object, and inside the JSON, we're looking at whether they have specified any operation or not. The operation has to be strictly request token. Okay, if there is no operation specified, or if any other operation is specified, it will go to the default and it will send a response saying invalid operation specified. Right? But if it is a operation is of request token, we are going to invoke get access token. Okay, and remember, this exception plays a very important role whenever you're doing the custom endpoint management. Okay, because whatever you host, be a code resource or a cloud page or anything that you are hosting, because code resource are the part of cloud pages, and whenever you basically make it, you publish it, it is publicly accessible. Okay, and it basically defaults to HTML. And if you are not handling the exceptions properly, same most of the time when we write a wrong code, it gives you a 500 internal error, right? So if your code is not able to handle properly, the third party is not going to receive a JSON object. It is going to receive a plain text or an HTML text, okay, and then you'll be fully exposed, right? So better be careful with your exception handling. Okay, moving on. We have this get access token function. Okay, and in this get access token, we are also looking at the payload. Okay, whether they have specified the grant type, client ID, and the client secret. If they have not mentioned any of this, okay, we are going to return them not authorized, simply not authorized. You can change this to saying that this means please validate whether you have grant types, client ID, and secret, giving a general message to them as well. Okay, based on this client ID and client secret, you can create a complex filter using simple operator function Okay, and then with the API integration data extension, I'm going to basically validate whether that particular client ID and client secret, basically these are like user ID password, right? So validating the database, saying that whether this user ID password do exist in the system or not. So you go and do a retrieve to the data extension and validate whether it returns some data or not. If it doesn't return the data, obviously it is not authorized. The person does not exist. Okay, the client does not exist. If it exists, well and good. Okay, this HTTP post, okay, you can generate an access token, and then to the access token, you can basically you need to validate that access token, right? Simply giving to the third party, it is not going to help you because they will get the access token, and if you have given the proper scope, they can directly hit the API server, okay, and they can perform it on their own end. You don't require custom endpoint to do all those checks and validations, fine. So keep that in mind. You have to store the access token, okay, and then you define the response. Basically, normally in the access token, the access token payload will have REST API endpoint, SOAP API endpoint, authentication endpoint, okay, not probably authentication endpoint, but you have the expiry in seconds, token type, and the access token code. Okay, so I don't want to give everything to the user, so I'm going to define the response, and to define the response, I directly jump into the code. Okay, what I'm going to do here is the define the response. Okay, so this is the access token result that I receive. From the response, I'm extracting the access token type, and the expires in. Okay, that's all what I want to give it to the user. And the REST instance URL, I'm not giving the exact REST URL, but giving the here I have mentioned my blog name, but it will be basically here another code resource to which other operations like searching through the data extension or performing journey builder API event or something. Those things where it is defined, you can give that particular code resource, right? Going back, so we did this HTTP post, got the token, okay, and then we added the token into the data extension. We define the response and send back the response, right? We have other functions, but these are simple functions like retrieving the data extension, creating a simple filter, and creating a complex filter. I have discussed this so many times in other videos. This update access token initially is to basically refreshing the token, okay, if required. That is what I'm trying to do, okay. And adding the token, two things I'm keeping in mind is basically adding the expiration date. So that here I have set it to 15 because Marketing Cloud sets to 18 when you send a response, though in the server it takes 20 minutes, okay, with expiry. So I'm adding 15 because I want to minus more 3 minutes, okay, and giving a 15 minutes duration for that access token to be valid. Okay, it's just for the security reason I'm adding it, fine. And then you can copy this code, and then obviously you need to have a proper data extension in place. Like here, if you go to this through my program, and this API exception is wherever the exception is getting caught, I'm basically adding those exceptions into that particular data extension to understand where that exception actually occurred. I have a function name that defines where that particular exception occurred. Okay. Yeah. Let's jump to the Postman. So this particular endpoint, it basically points to the code resource. Okay, this POP SFMC content is a code resource. Okay, this is the payload where you need to have client type operations, client ID, and client secret. Okay, and if you just hit this, obviously because here you have a client ID and client secret which doesn't match, so it says not authorized. Okay, let me update this. So let me update this. Okay, I'm going to basically hide this and then hit it. Fine. So you get the access token. Okay, this is the access token. This is the token type. Expires in and the REST API endpoint. I should have updated to the REST API endpoint to perform a certain operation, which I'm going to show you in some other video. Okay, just for a demo, I can show you what happens. Let's say maybe let me just simply hit this. Okay, this is another operation where this is here. Okay, if this token has been expired, if it's already expired 15 minutes, so it is going to show you that this token has expired. So this was the token that it was just generated just now. I copy this and update this. Okay, I hit it here. So here it says please validate your access token. Okay, fine, because here we have a double quote and all that came in here. Fine. Let's see this. So what I'm doing is here, I'm basically working on JWT. So that's why I generated a JWT and send them the response, because I'm not doing any other operations for now. Okay. I'll show you in some other video the operations like executing a script activity or executing a query activity. Okay, you have the payload here. Okay, similar to the build JSON process function. I copied that particular JSON, pasted it here. Okay, with origin and all. We're going to do what we are going to do in some other video is observe this payload into the data extension and then perform query activity or run through an automation and then transform the data and do the journey trigger and then send the communication. So that's we'll be doing in the coming videos. I hope everybody enjoyed this session. Okay. If you have any questions, you can post it in my YouTube videos, or if you want to learn something, you can let me know. I try to create similar videos and upload to the YouTube. Thanks for watching. See you in some other videos. Bye.